and we'll talk your ear off about 3DS and a lot of other stuff.
I think we want to cover one more, maybe?
One or two more at least.
Yeah.
Now, as you said, Nintendo has a big focus on a lot of their core franchises this year. I mean, we're most probably getting the Holy Trinity in 1 year, which I don't think has ever happened, at least in recent memory. Do you think that they're reshifting their attention on the core gamer because maybe their core fans have been a little bit burned over the last 2 years with stuff like music?
Yeah. I think Nintendo shifts their money to where the money... I think Nintendo shifts their development to where the money is.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to watch them in this scenario because I think they're... I mean, if you look at the tie ratio on something like... On the Wii, the tie ratio is pretty abysmally low compared to something like the Xbox or the PlayStation. So they're starting to realize that they can move a lot of this hardware, but they're selling a lot of razors. They're not really selling many blades.
You know, I don't think Nintendo cares that much about tie ratio because they make so much profit on the razor.
They don't care about it as much, but I definitely think they're starting to take notice of it. I mean, we're getting Mario and Metroid.
Their licensees, the third parties, care a lot more about tie ratio than Nintendo does.
I think the situation more is now that they just recently put, you know, Wii Sports Resort in homes, and people who generally just play games like Wii Sports Resort get a lot of play out of them, or at least a lot of time out of them, because they don't play them with regular consistency every day.
I know people who still play Wii Sports today, and they've had it for 3 years. I mean,
so right now that market is probably, at least in their mind, still served. Yeah. And they could go to a market where it's going to be a much faster return, and it's probably not going to have the long sales burn. But they can make enough money on more core titles right now because they've already taken care of stuff that'll sell.
Another interesting thing is when you look at Wii Sports Resort, you know, a lot of people who owned Wii Sports probably bought Wii Sports Resort. Oh, but look, now they have to go buy all these Motion Plus accessories.
Yeah.
It's classic Nintendo.
Yeah. No, I think, to go back to your question about the Holy Trinity, this did happen in 2002 in Japan. Zelda Wind Waker wasn't released until early 2003 in America, but in Japan you had Metroid Prime actually might have come out.
It might have come out later.
February in Japan, so maybe it didn't happen. Yeah. If you combine both territories, it happened.
We did get them all at 1E3 once, though.
I played
all. Pretty big deal.
Let me put it this way: I imported Wind Waker, so I did play all three in 2002. So it was possible to do it. And people in Japan who imported Metroid Prime, I'm sure there were some people who did that. They played all three.
Didn't we as a site have like 200 copies of Super Mario Sunshine?
we ordered an import copy of Sunshine for every person on the staff.
I still to this day have not played that game in English.
Yeah, I haven't either.
And that's kind of a testament to, you have to go back to our other thing, Nintendo's gameplay is so simple that I don't know a single word of Japanese and I could play the entire game. Because the camera shows you what you need to do in this level.
I even beat Wind Waker in Japanese.
That's really impressive.
And I don't read Japanese either. So, but yeah, the Holy Trinity thing has happened before. It's not unprecedented. The reason I think it's happening now is not necessarily an intentional strategic move on Nintendo's part. I think it's just the way software cycles happen. I mean, it's not even the first Zelda game we've had on Wii. It's not even the first Metroid game we've had on Wii.
The most surprising thing is how quickly Super Mario Galaxy 2 is coming out after Super Mario Galaxy 1.
Well, if at E3 last year they said, we could have it ready this year, but we don't need to because we already have Super Mario Bros. Wii ready.
If you look at what Galaxy 2 is, it shouldn't be that surprising.
It's a level pack.
It is a level pack. It would be the best level pack ever released for any game. But that's what it is. And so
they already had the ideas drawn up for it. I mean, they basically said, these are the things we wanted to put in there that we didn't have time for.
Right. I say don't question it, just enjoy it.
Definitely.
Similarly, though, the Metroid game, it's a 2D game, so it's not going to take a huge amount of development resources to create the time. It's going to be a shorter development cycle, and the Zelda game.
Metroid is not a 2D game.
And Metroid, it's outsourced, so it's not even all their money.
It's not like a Metroid Prime 3D game.
We're running pretty little on time. I know this guy really wants to ask this question, so let's hear it.
Better be good.
Better be damn good.
It better not be what beats Airman.
Oh, no, I like that one. I know the answer. It's on a shirt.
I guess it's not really that huge of a question, so I feel bad for being the last question. But you guys always do shout-outs on the show. I wanted to shout-out a game that I recently replayed when I was doing this weird cataloging project called Battle Clash on Super Nintendo.
Was that the Super Scope game?
Yeah, it was one of the Super Scope games. And it reminds me so much of Punch-Out. I don't know if you guys have ever played it before, but it's kind of like Punch-Out with giant mechs, except not Telerobox or on Virtual Boy.
That sounds awesome.
It's really cool. I played it for a couple of my friends were over, and they had never seen a Super Scope before. And so I was like, you guys got to try this game. And they all got really sucked into it. And it's really bizarre, but it's a cool game. But I guess it leads to the question is, light gun games were really popular in the Wii, especially this year. And there's a really interesting...
They're numerous. I don't know how popular they are. But
they were very out there.
Yes.
But considering how many there were and how many there are, like, classically, like, Duck Hunt isn't on Virtual Console. What do you think the
How
odds
is that-
are of
How is
getting?
it possible they have not made a new Duck Hunt yet? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It's weird. I mean, you would have to really retrofit Duck Hunt with a cursor on the screen because the original Zapper technology is
Well,
completely different from the way the
right.
infrared sensor
They figured
works
it
on
out
the-
though for one of the other weekends. I think was it the House of the Dead collection? They have it where like it calibrates the size of your screen and then it doesn't have a cursor.
Well,
Yeah,
that,
but
that's an optional mode.
Yeah, Nintendo's
by,
not
by
gonna do-
default, the cursor is on.
Nintendo's not
Okay.
going to do anything where you have to calibrate a screen because
No,
that's
not-
too complicated.
Especially not for a Virtual Console game. I
For
mean,
Duck Hunt, really? Who's going to
I
calibrate
mean,
for
what,
Duck
the
Hunt?
Duck Hunt would be 400 points. They'd have to redevelop the whole system. They're probably not
Yeah.
overly thrilled at the prospect of
I
that.
Probably not
think
very
the-
cost effective.
I think the duck shooting part of Wii Play is probably the best part of Wii Play, and I'm surprised that they haven't developed that out into a full Duck Hunt game. I mean, it seemed like a cheap project that they could sell a lot and make a lot of money on. It's odd
or
that it
I
hasn't
mean,
happened.
WiiWare. I mean,
Yeah, it would have happened on WiiWare, I'm sure, except Nintendo doesn't make WiiWare games.
Yeah.
It's just one of the strange things that
Why
if
would
you-
they?
They do make DSiWare.
they
games,
make
though.
I know.
Pokemon applications for WiiWare. That's basically it.
They make lots of stuff
Pokemon
on
management
DSi.
tools.
Yeah, Pokemon.
on WiiWare. So, we actually do have time for at least one more question. So. Great questions, by the way.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you guys for doing this, for being part of the show.
Yeah.
Lewis Ward. I'm an analyst with IDC. I cover games in general. And I happen to have a copy of WarioWare DIY. Just got the demo. I have not taken it out yet and messed around with it yet. But I guess I'm curious about your opinion about how this has gone over in Japan. I guess it's been out for 6 months. If people are adding these micro games, what's your sense of down the line? Do you think in America there's going to be receptivity to this idea of creating games, sharing them with your friends, competing with them? I know Little Big Planet has done a lot of interesting things on the PS3. So it seems like this idea of gamers having the tools themselves, developing their own stuff, sharing them and whatnot is kind of a new direction more broadly. And I'm wondering if that's something that you see also and where that will all go.
I think that definitely social media is everywhere. It's pervasive in our culture, and so I
Don't make this one of those panels, please.
But no, so I think definitely being able to make your own game and put it out there is going to be more popular as the years go by. Will they ever be as popular as other games? No.
And the interesting thing when you think about Nintendo is they are a company that is so insanely focused on controlling their product. It's almost kind of crazy that this game even made it out of their studio, giving the player the option to make the game. I mean,
You've played Excitebike, right?
Yeah.
yeah, but that's very
One of the
old.
first console games with a level editor, I mean,
Yeah.
unless you
Yeah.
include like Commodore 64
Yeah,
stuff.
and
yeah.
there have been a lot of
But
level
you couldn't
editors.
share it.
Like,
If you
that's
screwed
true.
it up,
Couldn't even
no one
save
else
it.
saw it.
Couldn't
So
even save
You could, I mean, closest knowledge I can come up with from Nintendo is in Smash Brothers Brawl, which had a level editor, but that wasn't. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot out there, I don't believe.
And they also
Yeah.
cut off support for it.
Yeah, they just
after
turned
a
it
while,
off one day,
which I thought was
so-
interesting.
It's something that they mess with every now and then.
Yeah.
I think DIY is a really interesting product because it's weird. Even to make like a 3-second long mini game takes hours. It's Nintendo in that they've tried to explain it. There's a lot of tutorials. I haven't played it myself. I've watched videos of it and I've read about it. And it seems to me that it's actually fairly involved process to make a game. And I think like Little Big Planet, what you'll end up there is that a large percentage, a majority of the people who buy that game are mainly consumers more than they are creators. You have a small core of people who make a lot of the content,
Super
and then everyone
dedicated.
else plays it. And the really interesting thing about DIY is that Nintendo kind of is recognizing this, and they're supporting that viewpoint by putting out a WiiWare version of it, where you can't create games, you can only play ones that other people have made on the DS. So that's perfect for me because I like WarioWare. I have no interest in making my own micro games. I don't have time. I don't really give a shit. I'm not a game developer. I don't want to be. I do like playing the micro games, and I want to see what other people are making. And they're also doing this big name games thing where they have big developers making their own versions too. So the WiiWare game is great because for $10 I can play all the micro games on my Wii, and you can still download them. You can trade them with other people. You just can't make them. I don't want to make them, so it's cheaper for me, and I get exactly what I want out of it.
yeah, I think that'll wrap us up.
Okay, yeah, that's
we're
going to have to be
running
the end
long
of the panel. Thank you very much for coming. And before we go, I do want to pimp our actual podcast, Radio Free Nintendo. You can find it on iTunes. Our website is nintendoworldreport.com.
Right over there.
Some of you might have heard of us in our previous incarnation, Planet GameCube. We've been around. We just celebrated our 11th birthday, which is pretty old for a website. So we have been around a long time. And let's see.
The newscast.
The newscast, yes, we do have two other
Neil
podcasts.
is in the audience. Give the man a round of
That's right.
applause, everybody.
Neil's one of the co-hosts of the newscast. We also have a great, really cool podcast called Radio Trivia Podcast Edition. It's like the hidden gem of our website. We play game music, and then you at home try to guess what game it's from. It's really fun, actually. If you like video game music, you should check this out. It's really well done. And one last thing, I want to thank our enforcers who've been awesome in helping set this up.
These guys are amazing.
Yeah, if you run into these guys, shake their hand and tell them thank you. They're really great.
They've been really, really great.
Yeah, and finally, thank you all for coming. It's been awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.